right, Mazi Sam Ohuabonwa, who is the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, now joins me on the program. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. We saw that statement that you put out, and one would have thought your organization would support the whole idea of, importing these COVID organic now from Madagascar, because the government says it basically wants to put it through a process of clinical trial. Besides, it's African anyway.
Yeah, well, the truth is this, that as a group of scientists, pharmaceutical scientists, who have members who have done work that is similar to what we are trying to bring from Madagascar. We are in a country where we have very distinguished pharmacists, medical scientists, some professors who have done research and believe that they have what will help Nigeria to deal or treat COVID-19. And our point is that charity starts at home. If we have pharmacists, medical doctors, and other scientists who say we have this thing that can help us deal with COVID and manage COVID from herbal and natural sources, our position is, why don't we invest time, energy, and money testing and trying these preparations and this formula? That should be our priority before we start trying other products from other places, especially when the product that we are trying to bring in to try, we have similar products, similar herbs in the country. The knowledge is not lacking. The expertise is not lacking. The only thing that is not there yet is what you call clinical trials to prove clinically that these things work, which is what they are also saying they will do when they bring the COVID organics from Madagascar. And our point is, why don't you start from the one you have at home? Then you can then bring the one. We're not saying don't bring, but we're completely not happy with this mentality of depending on others for everything. This is a mentality Nigeria has lived for and lived with for many years. We think it's about time we stopped it. It is what is making us an import-dependent country. It's what is making us depend on one source of income for foreign exchange. And each time oil bubbles or bursts, we're in trouble. We need to expand our ability to export.
But what your
Nigeria
organization
should be able to export things to other countries and not always waiting for us to receive from other countries. That is essentially our grouse.
But what your organization is saying runs contrary to what, for instance, agencies like NAFDAC have said, and even the government too has come out to say. For instance, the government has consistently said, and we heard that several times at the presidential task force briefing, that, look, they're not stopping local, stopping local people now from coming up with their own solutions. As a matter of fact, they've said, look, they're willing to support and even provide funding, and so long as these people are ready to subject whatever product they have to clinical trials. And even the director of NAFDAC actually put out a statement saying, look, of all those who have made claims to having some kind of cure now for COVID-19 in Nigeria, only one person has actually approached NAFDAC, to get NAFDAC clearance. So is this a question of the government not supporting you, or you not going forward with whatever you have?
My brother, when you have a problem that is bothering you, you are sitting where you are now and you hear somebody in Abuja says, I have the solution to your problem. Somebody in Kaduna says, I have the solution to your problem. and somebody in Port Harcourt says, I have solution to your problem, and you are hearing them, they are not just ordinary people you can wave away with the hand and say, these are herbalists who can make all kinds of claims. These are professional people. Would you sit in your place if you really have a problem you want to deal with, and you are saying, go and prove that what you have is something that can work? I thought that what the normal human being who wants to solve is to invite them, is to say, hi, I've heard you say you have this. We have heard you say you can do this. Come. And come, meet me. I'm inviting you as government. Meet me at such and so place. Let us look at what you have and let us evaluate it to see whether it meets what we need. You know, the standard procedure is that for herbal preparations, what they do is submit things to NAFDAC, and NAFDAC will list them. And what NAFDAC looks at essentially is toxicity. Is it safe? You cannot make a claim. Nobody can make a claim that a herbal product can deal or cure coronavirus. It can't until you've done clinical trials. And clinical trials cost a lot of money and take a lot of time to do. And the truth is that most of the people, be they scientists, be they herbal companies, herbal producing companies, do not have the resources to be able to do these clinical trials. And our position is that in normal times like today, you have ACT, artemisinin combination therapies for managing malaria. You have other brands of products for managing malaria in the marketplace. And then you have those who are making herbal preparations for malaria, making herb this, and all sorts and so forth. Nobody is, if you like, you go and take the herbs. If you like, you take the normal ones that everybody takes. And we will not bother you. If you want to come and make a claim that it can heal malaria, then come and put it through clinical trials. If you don't have the money, the resources, that's your headache. That is the station we are now. That is the way it is happening. Now, but we're in a crisis situation where every country is looking for a solution to their problem. How did COVID organic happen? It happened by a government motivating some people to put certain things together, and then government owned it. And it is government that is distributing it. It's government that is advertising it. So they will have waited for the individuals who say they know how to do it, and then come and prove to them. It is, for me, it is this ideology, the method that we are concerned with. Hitherto, it is very expensive to do clinical trials for herbal medicines to prove the claims. That's why many herbal medicines, if those ones NAFDAC are listed, they don't talk about curing anything. Maybe immunoboosters, this, that. That's what they are claiming. But for you to claim it can heal malaria, it can cure malaria, if you to claim that it can deal with diabetes, you must do a clinical trial. And this is not affordable by most of the people who do herbal products or the scientists who have done desk analysis and found some moieties that are helpful. All over the world, when people say they have such things, they are giving grants to go through the process of developing the product from concept to where they are marketable. And then they are assisted to go through the other steps. So this is what we are saying, that the least line of resistance of getting what is in Madagascar is for us. I think as a country, we ought to have overgrown this. Countries need help. We've been living on AIDS, but there are aid we will not get from everybody. We can't get aid from everywhere. We get aid from America, we get from Europe, EU, then we get aid also from small African companies. Permit me to say small. I'm not saying it with any disdain. Yes, it's just that our country has 174 universities, 69 federal research institutes. And I'm saying, why can't government mandate these people The plants that they are bringing as COVID are available in this country. Why can't you call them and say, I give you 1 month, I give you 2 months, do this thing. Other people are doing it. Look at money on the table. But even those who have sent proposals to government that are government institutions, they're not funded. So this is, my point is that we need to change this mentality, and at the risk of making some people unhappy, we are going to say it. We need to change this mentality. People you listen to, we are going to do this, we are going to do that on television. Go back and see how much is being done. Somebody else writes a speech, somebody else reads a speech, both the person who wrote it and the person who read the speech, none of them is involved in implementation. And we read the same budget over, the same project over and over since in the last 50 years. Go and read the budget. It's the same story.
Now, I have to ask you this question, sir. Since this whole issue of COVID-19 started in Nigeria, has the government actually reached out to your own organization, the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, for any kind of assistance in terms of help now to come up with, say, any kind of drug at all that might assist in treating the virus?
The federal government of Nigeria has not reached to us at all. We are the one reaching them. We are the one pushing ourselves. We send things, suggestions, then they will refer it to NCDC. NCDC will reply to them. They text back to me. NCDC says, no, we have a WHO here. We're waiting for WHO. That is all I've been hearing. We're not ready to try anything. Let us try some test kits. No. Let us expand testing. No. It must only be done according to WHO standards. I don't have any problem with that. But people are dying. People are getting sick. And it's not WHO that is dying or getting sick. These are Nigerians. Before WHO, Nigerians got sick and they got healing. So why must we get to the level where we have lost initiative and we have handed over everything to WHO or some other external people? This is what we are quarreling with. This is all of us. The complaint is against us as a nation. We are not yet primed to solve our problems. We have the mentality of waiting for other people to solve. Even small problems as small as they are. What have we been able to solve? Is it water problem that we have solved? Is it electricity problem that we have solved? Tell me one problem we have solved. When Obasanjo was in power, he talked about transforming the medical institutions so that we will have stop medical tourism. Till today, if not for COVID, half of Nigerians that you find in this country will be out in one other hospital or one city. Today, it is COVID that has forced everybody closure of airports. And yet, we don't want to learn. We don't want to move. We are still going with the same old mentality. We come to the newspaper and we talk. Let us go down after talking to the newspaper, call people, sit down with them, call the experts. I have never been called by government. What are we going to do about this COVID? We have been making suggestions. Okay, someone started making noise about allowances, paying allowances to healthcare. That's when they called us to come and discuss with Minister of Labor and Minister of Health Pay Allowance. That's all. Nobody has called the pharmaceutical side of Nigeria. Come and sit down. Come. How can we deal with this problem? We are the one pushing ourselves. Sometimes you hear them, they mention healthcare workers, you won't hear even pharmacists mentioned. Until we began to say, are we not part of the healthcare team? Are we not in the front line? Are we not some of the people that the patients see first when they are sick? Why is it that we have to beg for you to recognize that we are critical stakeholders in healthcare? There's just so much problem.
And the irony here is that the COVID organic that we are actually importing from Madagascar has actually not undergone standard clinical trials, so to speak. But then we're ready to take the risk.
That is it. It's not. So we're bringing it home here, and then we're now going to test it. It doesn't make sense to me. Except I hear that it was just donated. I just heard that it was not donated. It was just donated. I say, well, even if it's donated, somebody can give you some gift. It won't force you to use it. If you cannot say no, you can accept it with courtesy and then decide to do what you need to do to, So our issue really is, We're not against COVID organics. We're not. We are pharmacists, we are researchers, we are scientists. If something good comes from anywhere, that's fine. But our point is, you cannot be taking coal to Newcastle. Nigeria has more herbs, more potent herbs than any other country in Africa. Nigeria has more scientists. Nigeria has done more work on herbal therapeutics than any other country. There's a pharmacopoeia called Herbal and Natural Medicine Pharmacopoeia. We have a department of traditional medicine and complementary medicine in the Ministry of Health. We have a Nigerian Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development. We have a traditional medicine or natural medicine agency of government. These agencies exist. The question is, what are these agencies producing? We have research centers. Are you asking what is the productivity of our research center? 69, funded every year by federal government, paying salaries and bloating up our recurrent expenditure. And you cannot show me what those people are producing. So it's either and if you go and find out what is the problem, they are not being funded. They won't have chemicals, the equipment's broken down, their buildings looking rusty, only salary is paid. And then they are giving a few thousands of millions or a few millions as overhead, which when I talk to some of the CEOs of these agencies, can't even pay for 1 month diesel. They call it overhead. They have to start scrambling for where to get money to keep the organization running. If you see what goes on in these so-called institutes and government agencies, you win for this country.
And we also know that we also know, for instance, that Professor Maurice, who is a renowned pharmacognosist, has actually been making so much noise now about his own recipe, so to speak, his own drug, and so far nothing has come out of the Nigerian government from that area at all.
Professor Maurice, who, as far as I know, took his own invention to government. Those people say, come. He went to government. I read it in the paper. I saw it in the pictures where he was making a presentation to government. What has government done since then? They asked him to go and prove. How is he going to, himself alone? Where will he get the money as a single researcher? People who are researchers, research is done with money that either comes from charitable organizations or institutions, or if it's research being done by private organizations, it is done with money, with intention that they will recover their investment. But that's big companies, the big pharmaceutical companies, not herbal producers or scientific researchers. So we should change. There has to be a paradigm shift. We have 25 or 27 billion naira that has been donated by well-meaning Nigerians through CBN and CACOVID. My proposition is take half of that, 12 billion, and challenge 3-4 institutes and give them specific mandate, produce this, produce this, produce this. And I can assure you in the next couple of weeks or months, they'll produce them. In addition to the ones that have been done.
The CBN has actually come out to say, look, it's inviting organizations like yours, individuals, researchers, and all of that, that they should come, that they are ready to provide funding for researches and efforts now that could lead to the production of a drug or a vaccine, so to speak, a local effort now that could help in fighting COVID-19.
For sure, that is sweet music for us. When I heard it yesterday, I said, this is preempting us, this is in the direction that we're speaking about. But without taking anything out of it, this is not really in the realm of CBN. This is not monetary policy, because the money for research is usually long-term. It's long-term like grants. They talked about grants. I don't know whether the statutes allows CBN to give grants. But if it is loan is a dangerous thing for researchers to take, because you take the loan, you have no guarantee that you will succeed. A product may be useful even at phase 1. It may show clinical efficacy. By the time it goes to phase 2, 3, you find that it has an unbearable side effect and the product will not go forward. Every money you put there is lost. The average pharmaceutical company spends between $500 and $800 million to bring one product to the market, from laboratory research to clinical research. So it is not a small thing to do. I know for herbal products, the requirements are a little bit less. And NAFDAC is willing to make it easier for people, but it's still not as easy for everybody. So I like this. I like what CBN is doing. They've been so responsive. When we talked about building capacity for pharmaceutical companies, they have already provided money, which pharmaceutical companies are used to help to build up their capacities and be able to expand their scope. That is wonderful. Now, hearing that they're willing to support researchers for looking for cure to COVID-19 or for vaccines, I think is good music. Only my worry is CBN should not overreach itself with all good intentions, should not overreach itself and go into areas that it shouldn't really go into. But I can see that they are seeing lacuna. And when they see these vacancies, well, they see how they can use their opportunities to fill those gaps. This is money that should come from budget. It's money that should come from multilateral institutions. It's money when it's borrowed long term, like the money they borrow from World Bank or from ADB or from, those are the kind of money you can give through, which are sovereign money that can then be given to researchers or research institutes to solve Nigeria's problems. But if CBN can do that at this level, I believe it's much better than nothing, and we applaud them once again for thinking in this direction. That's what we're saying. Support the local scientists, support the researchers so that they can build and provide something for our nation. This country can afford to supply the world all the, let me not over-exaggerate, but it can compete effectively with China and India in supplying herbal products to the world. Herbal medicine, the world market value of herbal medicines is in billions of dollars. And that's a market Nigeria can compete. But government needs to take it seriously and take its eyes away from oil and focus on how we can build alternative income foreign exchange sources. And herbal medicine is one way we can do it. And this is the time to start.
Pastor Samuel Hoabunwa, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you. My pleasure. All
right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.